Hey everybody, this is Tankenstein coming to you live and direct from the Northern Center of everywhere to bring to you today your complete and comprehensive weak point guide for the M4A3E2 Jumbo Sherman. This guide will work regardless of if it has the 76mm cannon or not. I'll be going over tons in this video, including how to defeat the Jumbo from nearly any angle with its most likely opponents, including the Panther, Tiger, some Soviet vehicles, and other vehicles as well. I'll also be going over which ammo works best against the Jumbo and how to best exploit its weaknesses to use it against the Jumbo. And I do have one really important weak spot that I have found that I feel most people are not aware of. It's a small weak spot, but if you get this, it will virtually annihilate the tank and will really just put you in a win-win situation against it. Plus, it's right in the front. So let's just start here. I'll be going over a real basic armor analysis. Something that a lot of people miss is that this shows that it's only 63.5 millimeters of armor. So people would think that because of this, that it's relatively easily pennable, which it's not. It does have an armor plate behind it. There's not really any space here, so spaced armor does not come into account here, but between the two, you're looking at 101 millimeters of armor. You combine that with the angle, and realistically speaking, it's closer to around 150, 155 millimeters of armor. It's a really nasty angle, especially if you're playing at 5.0, 5.3 PR. It is a tough kill to make. Then you have underneath here, this is basically the transmission protection spot, if you want to consider it that. You have the glacis plate, which really isn't so much a glacis plate in the regular sense that you might get with a regular tank where it's just kind of flat, like this, for example, which I shouldn't say the T26E11 is a regular tank, but you get the point. This is much more rounded and a very difficult shot to really make for any tank of this BR. And it's also not really a good shot to make, being that this will just destroy the transmission. Very few internals will be destroyed by it unless you have a huge explosion go through this and just rip through the tank. On the sides here, you have the vulnerable side armor, and this 76.2 millimeters of armor is just that. There's no side armor underneath it, so this is where you will want to shoot, and underneath as well. This is a very important place to shoot, because if you can hit kind of near the middle of the tank, you can ammo rack it, so to speak. It's kind of a weird spot for an ammo rack, but it is where the ammo rack is. And further, you can shoot from the rear, although I would really just say don't do that. I would just, again, shoot from the sides if you do have that opportunity, just because the rear does have a ton of kind of blockers here for the crew. You will be able to just disable this tank, but you will not destroy it outright. And just avoid shooting the turret at all costs, unless, and I will be going over this in just a few moments, you have a gun capable of shooting consistently above 170, 175 millimeters of armor pen with your selected ammunition type, because even though it says 177.8, really it's closer to 165 millimeters of armor protection. And if you do have a cannon that can shoot through 175 millimeters of armor, then give or take at around 500 meters, it starts going down to 165, and that is the bare minimum that you're going to need to shoot through this. The sides are not much different. They are very well armored, especially for a turret, especially for a tank of this era. It is just not a good place to shoot on this tank. That being said, let's get into it. And the first thing I'll do is I'll just show you exactly where to shoot with the tank itself, the M4A3E2. This will be with the regular 75mm, and the most obvious weak spot on this tank is the gun mantlet in the very front. So even with just regular armor pen ammunition here, as you can see, the M72 shot, you can just shoot through this fairly easily. Of course, you will want more so than not, you will want APC BC armor, because it will have an armor piercing and explosive effect afterwards, and that should destroy the tank outright or destroy the crew. As you can see there, it's just a kill shot. There are some other spots as well, and I'll be going over those in just a moment, but underneath here you might be able to get it with this round. Okay, you can get it with this round. This is a shot trap underneath the turret mantlet. That is a very important term to learn. There are a lot of shot traps, especially around this BR in the earlier Panther models and also on the Jumbo Sherman here. Even though it's not really pennable from the front, you can just hit it at the perfect angle if you're lucky, and it will just angle right down, go into the tank, and kill at least 2 members of the crew. Again, this is kind of dependent on the where you're going to shoot, but and really just the size of the gun, but you can do it. Now, this looks like a good shot. It's not necessarily a good shot. It's kind of just going to deflect it into empty space for the most part. I'm not saying that it won't destroy or kill crew, but it's not as easy of a shot, or it's not as rewarding of a shot always that you're going to get. Of course, as you can see there, 2 out of my 3 tests have shown that it just kind of bounces right back in, destroys the crew. However, that is not always a given, and when you're dealing with a gun that shoots less than 120 millimeters of armor pen, almost always shoot for the front. If that's the only shot you can get, shoot for the turret mantlet, because you're not going to get a much better shot than that. If you do get on the side, it's an easy shot for almost any tank of the 5.0 BR. And again, if you can shoot underneath here, you will ammo rack it and just wreck the tank more likely than not. And again, avoid the rear at all costs, including the engine, because it's just going to go in there, destroy the engine, and do nothing else. That tank can still shoot at you afterwards. So let's get into some German tanks here, and I'll go into the rank 3 category here. And one thing that I find is a really, not really, I wouldn't say a comparable tank, because it's a very different tank in many aspects, but a tank that you might fight when you're fighting or when you're playing with the German is the somewhat lower BR Panzer IV-H variant, the Ausf H. And this has a really decent gun, especially for its BR. Shoots through 140 millimeters of armor with the PZ GR39, or if I'm not mistaken, the Panzergranate 39 armor, or the ammo, and can shoot through significantly more with the APCR ammo. But again, I would just shoot with the Panzergranate 39. And I'll just let you in on this right now. The best type of ammo against this will most likely be the APC BC ammo, because once you can exploit those weak points, any other type of ammo, especially for this BR, is worthless. Possibly heat ammo, heat FS ammo, if you can get it, but really that's just available in the PT-76, if I'm not mistaken, at around this BR. But that being said, again, the APCR, it's just really not good at the angles that this armor really just benefits from. There's very few shots from the front that you're going to be able to hit, except on the gunman here, that can really just fully exploit the armor pen values for the APCR. That is mostly going to be beneficial if you're shooting against a side plate and or a flat plate, and there are no flat plates on this tank that are not easily pennable with the Panzergranate 39, or really for most tanks with any of their AP CBC ammo. There's only a few shots that you can make with the APCR ammo that the APC-BC ammo will not be able to make versus this tank, and that's with almost any gun, any tank, with any nation. So that being said, I'll just kind of show you with the Panzergranate 39 here what you can do, and it becomes a little bit easier, if I'm not mistaken, to kind of hit this shot trap with a better gun, and you will see better results, especially being that this is a better cannon. And again, you can kind of still try to make this shot trap here. Sometimes it'll work, sometimes it will not. As you can see here at 167 millimeters of armor pen as something that you need, which is pretty much what I quoted before. But I'll get into this right now. This is the secret spot that you're going to want to hit, and this is welded on right here. If you can somehow manage to hit this line that goes right across here, you will be able to destroy at least 2 crew members, and it's an easy, or typically around 2 crew members, and it's a relatively easy shot to make. So as you can see there, it just wrecks, and it's not like it's a 1 pixel shot. It's a few pixels wide, so it's not totally impossible. But as you can see here, just look at the possible damage. It changes dramatically depending on exactly where your round hits. So It's not, okay, I shouldn't say it's an easy shot, but it is a kill shot in so many ways, especially if you can hit it dead center. It goes from 262 millimeters to 90 millimeters of armor protection, 95. Really, it just at any angle, it's a really, really soft shot to make. And if you can end up making it, do it. That is a ridiculous weak point, and it's something that most people do not know. So let's just go in with the Tiger 1 here with 151 millimeters of armor pen. And this really depends on the angle that you shoot. So if you can shoot it from just dead on, you won't be able to hit it. But you are going to be a little bit higher up typically than the Shermans. So, you know, if you can even hit it from 500 meters near the center, you will be able to pen right through that. Not through the turret protection here, but you will be able to pen through it. Again, side shots will be the easiest shots, but if you're just kind of hovering around the 150 millimeter of pen on your gun from whatever range that you're shooting from, you might be able to shoot through the front. But in order to consistently shoot through the front, you will want to have over 160 millimeters of armor pen. And that kind of goes into the Panther tanks. I'll go into the Panther A. As you can see here, it's got 173 millimeters of armor pen, and it's just an easy shot no matter where you hit it. So once you get above that threshold that I mentioned, it is an easy shot. And this is also a relatively easy shot from any angle just to pierce the turret mantlet here. Now, if you go out a little bit further to 166, all of a sudden that shot does not become necessarily easy. You get to go through it sometimes, sure, but it's not always going to be a gimme shot. Unless, of course, you're in protection analysis, which I guess they just want to make a fool of me. Let's just try this here. And as soon as you move out from 700 to 800 millimeters, it becomes an impossible shot. So it really depends on a lot of factors, but in order to shoot through the turret consistently, you're going to want to have over 165 millimeters of armor penetration from the range that you're shooting at. In order to shoot through this, you're going to want at least 155, but I'd say at least 160 millimeters of armor penetration from where you're shooting at. And again, if you shoot this, you're not really going to have a good time. You're just going to harm or destroy the transmission, which does not destroy the tank. So I'll go into Soviet vehicles right now, and this will be just kind of my last vehicle presentation. So when it comes to the PT-76B, again, this is kind of a unique vehicle because it does have a heat FS, and this will more or less just kind of pen wherever it shoots. So if you want to if you do have the PT-76B, you have the master key to destroy the Sherman. You should be able to do it more often than not with the heat round. So if you have the opportunity, just unlock the heat round. Whatever. It's just a really, really good round to have. I'll go into the rank 3 here because more likely than not you will be facing rank 3s. And I'll show you here, I believe it's the SU-85. This is probably about as close to a maybe shot as you're going to get because it does only have 148 millimeters of armor pen at any given point. And again, most tanks that you do use against this Jumbo Sherman will have anywhere between around 135 and around 155-ish, maybe 160 or so millimeters of armor pen versus it. So what you will want to do for the majority of tanks is, again, use this shot trap to your advantage. Some tanks will have a better time using this shot trap depending on the angle at which the tank is shooting from. If it's a lower down tank, you might have a slightly easier time hitting it than a higher up tank. And if you do have explosive armor or explosive rounds, use it. So this shot trap is good. This shot trap over here is also good, and it does have the opportunity to shoot through the tank. However, again, in the middle, just underneath where the gun is, will be more likely than not the best place for the shot trap. Again, you will want to shoot through the gun mantlet here. That is an excellent place to shoot and really just something I would recommend regardless. And if you can, and if you're finding it tough to hit this, give them the old shocker. You will be able to shoot through this, and you might, it just, again, really depends on where you're kind of aiming. It could be the difference between one pixel here and there, but you could destroy the entire tank or simply just kind of destroy one or two things in the tank but this is a nasty, nasty place to shoot, and this is effective against any jumbo tank. So shoot where these rivets are, just above it, and you should be able to destroy this tank with ease from almost any angle because it's only 90 or so millimeters of armor pen. And that's with almost any tank. And I'll just actually kind of show you this right now before I switch off. So you can go right into, if I'm not mistaken, the Puma. And even this, and its armor pen really changes dramatically depending on how far away you are. Even the Puma, if I'm not mistaken, should be able to shoot. Yeah, just shoots right through this. Even though it's a 1.3 BR vehicle, depending on the angle in which you shoot, it can shoot right through this and destroy the Jumbo Sherman, slowly but surely. So that is an Achilles heel most people do not know about, and even a 1.3 vehicle can destroy this tank. So keep that in mind. That being said, I'll get over with this video in just a moment, but in order to really use its weaknesses against it, it is a relatively slow tank. It only goes 35 kilometers per hour tops, and it only has around a 20-21 degree per second turret rotation speed, and that's just with average crew skills. So it's just not all that good at turning. It's not all that good at kind of making sure that it's an agile tank. It's just not all that good. So what you're going to want to do, if possible, is use speed against it. If you have a medium tank, you should be able to outflank it and just shoot it in the side. But if you are in a spot where this thing is just kind of pressing you up against a wall, Jumbo Sherman players do like to do that. They just trap you against a wall where you can't do anything against it. Again, shoot here, or hit the shot trap if possible. But if you do have the speed, I would definitely recommend go around it, shoot it right in its weak sides. It is an easy shot for most tanks, really just across the board. You should be able to shoot it even at an angle. Let's say with the T20, for the most part, well, let's see. Yeah, even at a 42 degree angle, it just goes right through and wrecks the side of it, even with 133 millimeters of armor pen. And that 43 degree angle is really not all too unlikely, especially when facing this. Jumbo Sherman players love getting up close, and again, this will wreck it. So really just use its slow turret traverse speed against it, use its slow top speed against it, and use its slow tread traverse speed as well against it. And if you can, if you're finding it really difficult to just shoot through this front armor and hit those small spots that I mentioned, shoot out one of its tracks. Just shoot out one of its tracks if possible, machine gun it to death, and you should be able to just kind of go around the side, shoot it here or underneath. And again, the best ammo against this is Heat FS if you do, for whatever reason, have access to it against the Sherman Jumbo, or APC BC ammo, just because it tends to just work best against more angled surfaces versus APC R ammo, which is just awful against angled surfaces, which this is the entire front of the tank. So either way, again, I hope you guys learned a lot from this video. I had a good time making it. Please like, comment, subscribe, tell me what you guys think, and I hope I enlightened you a little bit and made Jumbo Sherman players really quaking in their boots. But either way, this is Tankenstein signing out for tonight. Hope you guys again enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys later. Take care, everyone. Have a good night, and guess I'll see you guys around. Take care.